Michelle.
We can call this meeting to order. It's 6:06, and we'll do a roll call. Bill Marin.
Yo.
Kyle Oberketter is absent. Eric Vozick is absent. Rob Levitt.
Here.
Cindy Hirschfield.
Here.
Katie Hostetler.
Here.
And Mike Horvath.
Here.
Excellent. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. First off, before we start, let's welcome Mike, our new member. Do you want to give us a little briefing of your background, just a little bit?
Sure. Mike Horvath, first meeting. I am the town engineer in Snowmass Village. Been in the valley for almost a decade. Relatively new to Basalt. Just moved here, just built a house here and moved in January. So excited to be here.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome. Okay. Item 2A, Eagle County referral. Is it Michelle or James?
James.
Yeah, let me please share my screen here. There we go. This item is an Eagle County referral. The town's policy has been to bring more significant referrals to the Town Planning and Zoning Commission to provide comments. Staff has provided a draft letter in your packet for consideration. The application is proposed by Mid-Valley Metro District, and the proposal is to construct 6 single-family residences that would be employee housing dwellings and a small office space on Mid-Valley Metro District's 18-acre property that includes their sewer plant. The property is located just west of the Blue Lake subdivision. Here's the sanitation Mid-Valley Metro District property, and it extends on to the south side of the highway. The applicant would like to build or install the 6 employee housing units as well as the office space on the south side of the highway in this triangular portion of the property. As you can see on the site plan that's in your packet. Go back to it. So you've got the 6 single-family houses and a small office space. The applicant has indicated that the units would be between 1,200 and 1,800 square foot, and that they're needed for the long-term sustainability of the organization. Mid-Valley Metro District is the water and sewer provider for the West Basalt area as well as the Elgibel area. And so staff has provided draft comments that are in your packet for your consideration. The first of those comments is that the density is acceptable outside the urban growth boundary, as the property is outside the urban growth boundary but within the town's 3-mile planning area. Staff believes that this comment is consistent with comments that have been provided on projects that have had a greater density outside the urban growth boundary, such as the 10-acre PUD, which is on Willets Lane, that had a greater density than is proposed here. Also, the draft letter supports Mid-Valley Metro District's efforts to house employees for sustainability of their organization, and references that that would be consistent with the goals of the Basalt Master Plan. The letter also encourages Eagle County to limit the house sizes to the 1,200 to 1,800 square foot range of the types of houses that are shown in the application. It's also included in the letter that it's recommended that the houses be deed restricted. And then finally, the letter encourages consideration of installing either a landscaping berm or other screening techniques to buffer the residences from the highway and to kind of minimize the view of the residences and the office space from the highway. And then finally, in comment 5 that's in the draft letter, it encourages the residents to be designed to a significant level of energy efficiency or to be at the highest level of energy efficiency practical if they are to be manufactured housing units. And so generally that's the draft letter that staff has come up with for transmittal to Eagle County. This evening, staff would suggest hearing any comments that the applicant has. We've got Bill Reynolds, who's the director of Mid-Valley Metro District. He's here to answer questions that you might have. And P&Z has a couple options. You could either direct staff to transmit the letter as drafted, or if you have amendments, you could propose amendments and direct staff to amend the letter accordingly. Bill, do you have any thoughts that you'd like to provide to the P&Z, or would you just like to?
I think you covered it all, James. You know, like everybody else in the valley, we're challenged as far as hiring from outside the valley and bringing somebody in.
You need him at the mic.
What?
Do you need him at the mic?
Yeah, you should be
Bill,
at
I'm
the,
sorry,
move
can
forward
you
at the mic.
Please move up to the mic.
I thought it was loud enough.
I don't think it makes it onto the TV broadcast.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So I'm really here just to answer any questions that you might have. You know, Mid-Valley pretty much provides water and wastewater services from the Emma Bridge all the way through Cerise Ranch. Needless to say, having employees outside the district, especially during times when you have emergencies and problems, it's nice to have employees close by that can respond in a short amount of time. Water especially can do a lot of damage in a short amount of time, as we all know. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot them at me.
Mike, we'll start with you. The way this is going to work is we're going to ask questions, not comments. We'll have a separate period for comments in a little bit.
Okay. There's kind of two parking areas near the office.
Yeah.
Is one of those kind of overflow for the housing, or is that just simply for employees of the office?
It's for employees of the office, and well, needless to say, we don't have that many folks that come to the water and wastewater office. It's not high on the list. So, but we have a couple of public spaces there. But other than that, parking for individual homes would be at the individual dwellings.
All right, Rob, do you have any questions?
A few. Did Eagle County request a traffic study?
No. Now, I think it's important to note that this is a location and extent process. This is not a full-blown planning process. So with location and extent, Mid-Valley Metro is a quasi-municipal organization, and essentially we're here to explain to you what we're doing on our property, and we ask for input. So, and considering the low density that we're talking about, they didn't even ask us for anything.
Were there any comments from neighbors?
No. And now, of course, it's in the referral process right now, and that includes all the neighbors that are close by. One of the things that we're very cognizant of is the type of construction that's around us. We're going to model the office very similar to a metal barn type building so that it fits in. And the dwellings themselves are consistent with some of the others that are close by. So.
And then finally, and just sort of curious, are these going to be owned or rentals?
These are owned by the district.
Right, and then rented to employees?
No. And rented to employees. That's it. So. And there's no thought of subdividing or anything like that. These are long-term for the district.
So,
And as far as a little bit of history, the Mid-Valley Metro parcel was bisected by 82. So we ended up with those 3 acres across the highway. These 3 acres aren't adjacent to the wastewater plant. So, but we also own like 6, 7 acres adjacent to the wastewater plant, which is beautiful land. Presently, there's 3 mules that reside there and have been there for quite some time. So, very expensive mules.
All right, thank you. Cindy, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Okay,
Katie, do you have any questions?
I'm just curious, do you ever anticipate a situation when one of the residences wouldn't be occupied by an employee? And if so, do you have a plan for who else you might rent that to?
In talking with Eagle County Planning and Zoning, they have told me that Eagle County frowns upon outsourcing your rental units to other governmental agencies such as like Crown Mountain Recreation or the fire department. I haven't figured that one out yet, but the intent at this particular point, it is for Mid-Valley Metro employees. So, and we'll see what happens. I do appreciate what the town of Basalt has done in the past, and that is if you have excess inventory, that you offer it out to other governmental agencies. We really appreciate that.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, and this is not a public meeting, is it? So
No,
I mean,
no public hearing.
no public hearing. Okay, so let's, I think it's time for comments, and think of your comments specifically relating to the referral letter, if there's anything you'd like to add or subtract or change. Katie?
No, never mind.
Cindy?
No, I shouldn't have anything. I just commend you for being proactive and
Thanks.
addressing the employee housing issue, you know, for your own
It's a challenge
employees.
these days.
Oh, I know.
Rob?
Yeah, I like the berm idea that the town had in the letter, so I support that, but also wonder, because of the type of construction, if there was an opportunity for solar panels.
And I'm sorry, I didn't catch the second half of that.
Because the type of construction it is and might limit your sustainability if there's an option of using solar panels.
Well,
Actually,
we
this
do-
is not a comment for you, this is something that we might want to add to the letter.
Yeah, but
Is that-
ask,
okay.
ask him that, and then we can, if,
Okay.
let him
I want to put
discussion.
him on the spot if it wasn't the right place.
Well, right across the highway, we do have a solar array that the district has leased that land. That solar array is now owned by Holy Cross. It went from, I forget the name of the organization, on through to Holy Cross. They bought it. So we do, in fact, everything that we do within Mid-Valley Metro, we work very hard to be energy efficient, even though we're a very high electric user. All of our motors are controlled by variable frequency drives. We try to do the right thing throughout the process. So solar, being that we do have an array across the street that we participate in, I guess it's something we could take a look at. One of the things, of course, like everybody else, we want to make this affordable. And the more we put out, the initial outlay really affects what we're going to rent them for.
Right, we have that conversation regularly. But if it's not stick-built and therefore it limits your options, I
Yeah.
thought that might be one.
Well, we are looking at manufactured homes.
Right, which limits what you can do, which is why I
Yeah.
may be suggesting the solar.
But in today's world, honestly, kind of, it really depends on,
Here's an idea. Why don't we add a condition or a comment that they consider
I'm good with that.
that?
that's fine.
Consider putting solar on the.
Are you familiar with the way location and extent works?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I've done them before, so
Okay.
yeah, I understand, but that's why we say consider,
Yeah,
you know.
and I appreciate that. Yeah, and we'll definitely take it into consideration. If we can make them more affordable, more efficient, we'll make it happen.
Yeah, because you could also get like GOCO grants and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So those are possibilities.
free
as
is
well.
good.
Pardon?
Free is good.
Yeah, free is really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We like that.
And there's a lot of money around for that type of thing right
Yeah.
now. Okay, Mike, comments?
Comments, it looks like each unit has one parking stall.
one of the things that we are seriously taking a look at is the possibility of even putting in garages for the individual homes. One of the things we really want to do with these units is make them feel like real homes for the employees, and not something that they want to get away from. One of the things I know when I moved down Valley, much more than 10 years ago, but I was excited to get a garage.
Yeah, totally.
So the possibility of putting a 2-car garage at each home would be really nice.
Yeah.
And if we can afford to do it, we'll look into it.
Great. I'm just coming from a point of view where I feel like a lot of the affordable housing that's been built is kind of underparked, and then it gets a little disorganized, the neighbors don't appreciate it, and it's kind of this cycle we're in, and it just kind of drives the NIMBYism and all that stuff. So it's just something to consider, of providing maybe a little more parking for people with toys and all that fun stuff.
Well, the other benefit is that we have a large enough parcel, and we actually have heavy equipment and other equipment that we keep over at the wastewater plant, so it provides some areas for, let's say, if somebody has a camper or something like that, and it's within their reach, so it's not that far away. So, but point well taken. We can. I like the idea of keeping it clean. And one of the things that we are going to do with this is grow into it. We're not going to build all 6 units at first. We'll probably do 2, possibly 3 units at first and grow into the other 3. So.
Another comment, it looks like you have 4 curb cuts, or it's hard for me to read the plans. So the ones farthest to the east, I don't know if those were curb cuts. There's 2 curb cuts, one near the office and one near the.
Yeah, you're talking onto the old highway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, kind of behind the office, are those curb cuts as well?
What we're talking about right there, right now, is the possibility of putting in a dump station, something that's sorely needed in the Mid-Valley area. So the closest dump station is up at Route I when it's open, and the other one is down in Silt.
Oh, nice.
So
this is a pull-through right here.
Okay. Yeah.
that's what, and that's in there. It'd be great to have anybody that has an RV. I've heard many times that people are dying for one of those.
And the last comment would be the curb cut farthest to the right on the screen. Like, I think that one is almost touching the driveway next to it. So just considering some separation there.
Okay.
You don't have driveways.
We have the room. And you see the dotted line over on the right-hand side, and I don't know what that actually is called, but there's an easement in there. Our line that goes back to the river actually follows that property line over there and goes through several properties on its way back. So that's where the effluent on its way back goes.
That's confusing, 'cause that plan's upside down.
Say again?
That plan's upside down.
It is upside
North is down.
yes.
Well, I guess it depends on whether or not you're up valley or down valley.
Here's the frontage road.
So, yeah, the road on top is the old highway.
Yeah.
And here's the current highway.
That would be Highway 82.
Is that it, Mike?
That's it.
Okay. I have a couple questions that I forgot to ask, too. First off, are all the intended designs, are they all going to be the same, or are you going to mix them
No,
up?
I'd like to mix them up some.
Okay. Okay, that's good. And also, are you going to close the office in the design center?
We've been renting that space for the last 25, 30 years.
I know, I've been paying my bills there.
Maybe we'll put a Dropbox there for you or something, but.
No, I went on
but-
auto pay, so it's like. Well, the only reason to go there was to kibitz with the ladies there. Anyway,
No, we'll miss that spot, but it's time to have.
that's
that
the
space.
intent, to close that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. For comments, first off, I commend you for doing this. You know, this is a great thing, and you know, you did get kind of bisected by the
Worked out
bypass
pretty
there.
well.
Yeah, and so, yeah, so
Yeah.
you lost a lot of property.
Well, I always thought that it would be a great place to go ahead and do employee housing, and Western Slope for many, many years has struggled with that problem, and the time has come. So I probably should have done it a few years earlier, but now especially post epidemic, it's really hard to attract somebody from outside the valley. So this gives us that ability, and we've tried to hire within the valley, and it's tough.
I get it.
Everybody's fighting for the same few.
So my other comment was going to be about varying the designs, but it sounds like your intent is to do that. So I
We
don't
are.
think we need to alter the document in any way to do that, or the letter. And I was also going to say is whatever you do there is going to be better than the laydown yard next door, which has been kind of on the rough side for a while now.
I like our neighbors, and all my comments are going to be
I'm sure they're great
positive.
guys. If I had that property, I'd do the same thing. You'd have a place to put your junk.
Yeah.
So we need a motion, I think, if we're ready. Let's include your consideration of solar panels.
Yeah, and with that addition, I would make a motion to approve, submit, sign the letter.
Okay, so we have a first. Do we have a second?
A second.
All right, we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
I like to see an organization addressing their own housing needs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Need more of it.
Okay, item 3A, courtesy referral on Public Works Manual Amendment. This is going to be really cool. Really cool.
That's your seatbelt, everybody.
Let me.
Well, you know, if you're like a construction nerd, this is neat stuff. I am. I love this stuff. I think it's
I read
great.
the whole thing, I looked it up online.
No, I just, you know, infrastructure work is my jam. I love it. This is cool.
All right. Well, let's talk about it. This item is consideration of an amendment to the town's Public Works Manual to add requirements for structural soils back into the Public Works Manual. The Public Works Manual is a technical document that sets standards for public improvements like roads, right-of-way, landscaping, and engineering. In 2022, the town did a complete overhaul of the Public Works Manual, so last year. And recently it was identified that the language and specifications for structural soils were left out, and we did that unintentionally. And so structural soils are a soil mix that is formulated to allow tree roots to thrive and grow under hardscape areas like concrete, while minimizing the upheaval in those areas where trees are planted in close proximity to hardscape. Structural soils have a high crushed stone content that helps prevent the uplift, and structural soils have been used throughout Willits Town Center in the past and have been successful in allowing street trees to survive and thrive in the tight urban streetscape, and without significantly damaging sidewalks as well. So staff and the town arborist feel it's important to reincorporate structural soils requirements as well as specifications in the manual. And specifically, given the timing that we're looking to redo Midland Avenue streetscape, we wanted to make sure we had those structural soils requirements in the manual. So this evening, staff would recommend that P&Z make a recommendation to the town council that we reinstitute the language on structural soils into the public Works Manual. And once again, traditionally, P and Z has made recommendation to council on changes to the manual. So that's what we're asking for this evening. And so staff would suggest taking any questions or asking any questions that you have of staff, and then providing commission discussion. Since this is just a courtesy referral, since it's outside the zoning and subdivision section of the code, that there's no public hearing on it, but you're welcome to take public comments if there is any.
I think so this is a relatively simple thing. We could just have free form ask of questions. Anyone have any questions to ask?
Well, I just have one. Is there something different about the mix of this soil that it's a different part of this
Yeah, I mean,
manual, or?
yeah, usually if you're just planting trees and vegetation in areas that aren't close to hardscape, you don't have to do structural soils. And there's more just like topsoil utilized with kind of an underlayer of other kind of soil. But when you're close to hardscape like sidewalks or asphalt, you want to prevent the upheaval,
Right.
but you still want the trees to be able to grow their root system out to have a significant root system, and so that's what the structural soils do. They have a kind of heavier content to
Also,
upheaval.
when you have hardscape, you usually compact the soil really hard so that
Yeah.
it doesn't move. But if you compact it really hard, then the roots can't grow. So this is a special soil mix where the roots can grow.
No, I get that. I guess my question is, this is something the town has been doing, and we're just formalizing it because the language wasn't in the manual.
Well,
This is not like a totally new process.
it's not a new process at all. It used to be in the old Public Works Manual before it was overhauled in 2022.
Okay.
And so
You said it got overlooked.
all of
so-
Willets Town Center has the structural soils
Okay.
in the garden
Alright.
beds.
Any other questions?
How much does it cost?
The cost is higher than your normal planting, but it's not significantly higher. I wish I had a number for you, but I don't. Unfortunately, the town arborist couldn't make it tonight, but it is more expensive, yeah.
I wouldn't eat anything that had a potassium propenamide copolymer in it, so I'm hoping it's a relatively safe addition.
It is safe. There have been several different mixes over time that have been utilized. There was one that was developed by CSU that we used to use, but they've changed to this Cornell University.
So are we requiring this specific mix or just a structural soil that?
We're requiring a specific mix, but it can be adjusted at the approval of the town
But in
arborist.
2 years, if they come out with a new product, do we go through this again, or there's a mechanism to allow it?
There's a mechanism for the town arborist to adjust it.
Right.
So hydrogel is used all the time. It's like when you get a root ball, it's in there. And you get like, hydro seeding.
Right, it's the stuff that
It's
absorbs water.
It's that gooey stuff. It's the stuff in diapers.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So, any more questions?
Not necessarily a question, but if you go down to the detail of it,
Yeah.
I wonder if there should be a geofabric between the road base and this structural soil to prevent the migration of the fines from the road base into the structural soil, kind of filling those voids, and then when the roots come in, you're gonna get that heaval. Something to consider.
I can pass that on to the town arborist to see if he thinks that's something that's necessary. And-
Perfect.
But before it goes to council.
Any more comments, or are we ready to make a motion on this?
Are we Making a motion to approve? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody?
Is that a first?
Okay, motion to approve.
Okay. Any second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first, we have a second, all
I
in
was gonna let
favor?
the new guy do it.
Well, this-
Still not how it works.
And staff will carry on Mike's comment to the town arborist, Chris
Yeah, that's a good
Weiser.
comment.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, actually. Okay, item 4A, Midland Streetscape Updates, Michelle.
Ooh, well, I'm gonna share with you the update that our owner's rep provides to council, because I think it sums it up in a nice way. So he always gives the warning that a project of this magnitude is always going to include some unknown factors due to a majority of the work being beneath the surface, where the team won't know the condition of the current utilities until they do the digging. Since the June update, the contractor did discover some substantial differences in the water services at the east end of the spur from what had been anticipated. So the project team was faced with the choice to continue on the current timeline, which would have resulted in a complete water shutoff along the entire north side of Midland Avenue. But the team opted to order some specialized valves and connectors, which took a few additional weeks, but allowed us now and into the future to better control the sections of the water main and avoid entire streamline disruptions. So where we thought we'd be a little further along on the project, we waited for those valves so that everyone would have service during that time.
So did they have to do hot taps into the new line from the old one?
No,
Okay.
we were able to just kind of stand still on that while that was happening and work on the rest of the paving and whatnot.
Oh, so they didn't have to do anything really weird?
No. Then I'm not an engineer and Catherine's not here, so I'm sure there was something more strange than no, but
Yeah.
it wasn't that crazy. It was mostly ordering the valves, which ultimately worked out for emergency planning as well. The entire team supported the delay in order to keep those buildings operational. When combined with the large scope of addition to the original work of the dry utilities, as well as more detailed work and other water and sewer services that we discussed in previous reports, we are now projecting a late August turnover for the spur. So we're, from the original project schedule, a couple weeks behind, but nothing significant for the overall project schedule. As you've seen, curb and gutter are ongoing out here, as well as the sidewalk. And maybe you've parked in any of the new parking spaces along Two River across from Free Range or any of those on your way to Sunday Market. And the water line work for phase 2, which will start in an overnight activity soon, has been approved and will begin later this month. So those are the nitty-gritty updates.
So the two phases will overlap some?
Yeah, it's funny to call it a different phase because I think that really only applies internally, but for our paperwork, for the public, it's kind of an ongoing thing. Our economic support programs, which are a little more interesting to talk about, are in full effect. Midland Money has been super successful, both propelling activity to the restaurants and businesses on Midland. We've been handing those out at the concerts, at Sunday Market, at the recycling event, and all of those things. And they are available, and more information at basalt.net. We also are underway with the Midland Mural Competition. And so if any of you have seen out here, maybe when you're leaving, if you're walking up Midland Avenue, one of the murals is sitting down on the hardscape next to the town hall. We have 3 up right now. Jeremy Velasquez is here in Lions Park. Kristen Hicks has a piece over by Alpine Bank, And Finn Johnson, our one student applicant, his piece is right now over on the porch at the planning department until we're able to relocate it. We have 3 other artists as well, and we'll have a walking map. These are going to be placed throughout the historic core for people to go around. And then,
Could you email us a copy of a PDF of the walking map?
yeah, it
That'd be
hasn't
great.
been created yet, so you're
When-
not behind, but we're getting there.
When you do get it, could you email it to us?
Yes,
That would
and
be
it'll
great.
also be available on basalt.net.
Okay.
But it'll be important because each mural will have a VR code, and you'll be able to vote for and rank your favorite murals. The winner will get the opportunity to put their mural on a building in Basalt. So it's really
What are the
exciting.
murals on now?
They are on 4x8 particle board stands. Yeah, so it's kind of a concept.
Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
and it won't be exactly replicated, but
Yeah.
something of that nature will be.
And
So
where
there's-
does it go?
On a building TBD in Basalt.
Okay.
It's exciting because we're getting, some of the building owners are calling us asking if they can be the building.
Hmm.
So it'll be fun to have the rest of these up to generate that activity.
Speaking of basalt.net, I've not been able to access the parking survey.
Oh,
It just won't click through, and maybe it's my browser, but
well, that's interesting. We have had 300 responses so far, but I'll double check and make sure it's still functioning. And I can say at this point, it's gonna stay open for quite a while, but parking enforcement has not been a popular concept. So, we'll see where that lands. That is to come in the future. We'll come back to that. But right now, it's just kind of a litmus test. We had heard during some of the initial outreach on Midland that parking enforcement would be really beneficial for the businesses. And so we're kind of doing a litmus test to see if that's going to be acceptable or just another difficult item. And then, of course, I hope you've all been to a Wednesday night concert. We've hosted 7 of the 10. Tomorrow night is Gabrielle Lewis with Ryan Diltz, their local talent. And the headliner is J.W. Jones. He's blues. Should be really huge and big. And then we have 2 more Wednesdays left of our series. The nonprofits are taking home thousands of dollars in proceeds, so that's super exciting. So we have that going on. And then, not specifically related to the Midland Streetscape, but actually I'll save that for later. Questions about Midland or the projects?
Are there any more unhappy citizens writing nasty
Can't
letters?
please all of the people all the time, but we do get a lot of, we very sincerely get a lot of positive responses to the newsletters we send out, and responses to the information in the newsletters and just also about the project, so that's really great.
Where is phase 2 happening? Is that just like phase 2 of the streetscape project? Is that just past where the current construction is?
Right, so it's
Okay.
kind of the end where the current construction is. It's from there up towards Homestead. And
Okay.
it's just the water line being put in. And I say just the water line, but it'll feel like a real project because a 1 lane of traffic will be closed.
Okay, great.
So that'll be this fall, the water line?
That'll be this fall until probably, depending on weather, through October, maybe November. And then they'll take a break, November, December, January, and possibly, depending on weather, be able to start back up with some work in February, late February, early March.
That'll run through spring, then we're,
That'll run through the rest of 2024 because it'll be more utilities, significant grading work to create that center drainage channel, and then all the pretty work with the paving, the landscaping, and the actual sidewalks, all that. But the goal is to get the major grading work done because that's going to be tough, done before the summer season starts. So.
it might not be exactly your job, but and I've only been to the first concert, but did they get the recycling sorted out at the concerts?
Yes, that was an epic fail, and,
We
It
call that
was
a learning
bad.
experience.
you know, we knew we were gonna fumble somewhere along in these concerts, and, the good and bad news was it was something like recycling, and it wasn't that we didn't have electricity on the stage. But we have done better.
Well, that's it?
That's it for the Midland.
Anyone have any other comments, commissioner comments to make?
I have a question. I've noticed in ads in the paper that the commercial space across the street is being marketed for sale now. And I wondered, how does that work? Because I thought that part of the approval was that if the commercial uses changed, P&Z and I guess ultimately council would have to approve that. So does that, I mean, it doesn't say that in the ad, of course, but does that kind of a sale come with stipulations that says, if you buy this, you can't change, like, is it a binding contract? If you buy this, you can't change the use without approval?
So when you buy any piece of property, it comes with land use approval. So if you bought a single-family lot, for example,
Yeah.
it comes with land use approvals. And then if you were gonna try to change that, that would be on you to go in and ask to put a commercial use on it.
Okay.
So that's the same thing there. They're basically condominiumizing that space from the residential units above,
Right.
and with the information that it's approved for this use.
And then I didn't realize, or I completely forgot, that when that approval went through, that all the employee housing units were tied to that commercial space as getting first dibs on all of them. Is that something we approved, or did that happen at council?
Yeah, that came through here because part of it was how to mitigate the employees that would be created by the commercial space.
It was here.
It was here. I don't like that. I feel like it doesn't really help us if we're just helping a new business.
Any other commissioner comments?
Is there any update on Sobers Meadows 5?
Yeah, they are starting to work on a fire access road in order to be able to get a permit on their first building that is in for foundation permit right now.
Okay.
And they're working through kind of the final phase of the platting of the lots too, the parcels.
So all you have is the foundation permit, not the full, okay.
Right. But they have to rough in a fire access road before we can give them a permit on that, yeah.
Any other comments, questions? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Bill, if I may, on staff comments, if I can please provide one additional comment.
Oh, yes, please.
We have scheduled next week a presentation to the town council on the Jadwin application. And we were going to invite P&Z to that as well to hear the presentation. So that would be the council meeting on Tuesday, the 22nd of August. It'd be as part of the council's regular meeting at 6 o'clock. And so we'll send out an email, but we just wanted to give P&Z members a heads up that P&Z will be invited to that to hear the presentation. The idea is so that P&Z and council hear the same presentation of the proposal. It wouldn't be a public hearing at that point. It will just be hearing the presentation of the proposal and asking questions so that everybody gets an understanding of what the proposal is. And then P&Z would go into public hearings at subsequent P&Z meetings on the topic. So
So it wouldn't be a joint work session, it would just be, we just attend the meeting.
yeah, attend the meeting and just kind of
It
hear
would be
the
pretty similar
proposal.
to what we learned on our tour, right?
It will be, but it'll be more detailed. It'll be the applicant's formal presentation of the project. So just wanted to give the heads up.
I have one more feel-good update for you guys.
Yes.
The WeCycle metrics just came out. They come out every month.
Uh-huh.
I just think it's fun to hear these things. So Basalt, the change in ridership from last year in the month of July is up 83%. It's kind of cool. Part of it is because we have several new facilities, several of which are in Elgibel, and those are having a lot of usage. And then the other cool stat here is that the estimated carbon offset by the rides, they used to be in the 6,000s, is now up to 8,171 pounds of offset carbon. So that's just a cool stat to know. People really use those.
Are we
Are all
still
the
subsidizing her?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
To the
our
tune
green
of?
team supports them. We have an updated memorandum of understanding with RAFTA. I think we're at somewhere around $58,000 a year. Yeah. So,
I wanted to know if all the WeCycles, are they all electric now, or is it a mix?
it's a mix. Yeah. Certainly the electric have helped boost ridership. Yeah.
I also have a comment that I was going to make last time, and I forgot. I noticed that there was a new siding and roofing happening on the building, the town hall building. That's very nice. It needed it very badly. Yet at the same time, the building is not accessible in any form or shape. And it's not, like I hate to be a broken record about it, but the town is liable to get sued about that. It's good that none of them live in Basalt. There's a few people who, specifically one building inspector up in Aspen, who does that. And so we're running a risk, because there's people who actually live in the valley who find public buildings that are not accessible and make a case about it. So I just don't want it to fall off everyone's radar, because every single door here is not accessible. I mean, it's a single-story building, so you could think, oh, well, you could get anywhere. But none of the door swings are accessible. None of the bathrooms are accessible. And eventually, someone's going to get pissed off.
Yeah, we have brought that up.
Just thought I hate to be that kind of guy, but that's the thing.
It's good to be that kind of guy for a good change.
I've been this guy for a decade here, and
Well, maybe you're the wrong guy to be that guy then.
yeah, that's true. Anyway, that's all I've got.
I support your efforts along those lines.
Yeah. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah. Oh.
Well, let me second it.
Mike.
Better start with
We
the
have a first, we have a second.
Second.
There you go.
Good, good. Ladies first, Mike second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yay.
Yay.
We get to go home.
And then I'll informally introduce you. This is Bob Kaplan sitting in the audience. He has applied for P&Z as well, and he, if appointed, would take one of the alternate seats.
Good luck.